Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ringside Cinema. I am Money Mike, and today we are going to be looking at the future of WrestleMania. Which city or country is going to play host to WrestleMania next? We know WrestleMania 41, 2 months away, going to be in Las Vegas. And as course, we as wrestling fans are like, well, where's the next one? Where's the next one after that? We want to know where WrestleMania, SummerSlam, where all these shows are going, these big events, where they're going to be, because we've gotten to that point where I think wrestling fans pretty much use these as their vacation, their getaways, their trips to, or their excuses to go to a certain city or country. I've always wanted to go to London, and I wanted to see London, and I used AEW All In last year as an excuse to go to London. And I'm looking forward to that first WrestleMania that is going to be most likely at Wembley Stadium. I think that is going to be a great show, and I definitely plan on being at that show whenever that happens. But we got to look at a couple things here, because there are some rumors going around that the next two WrestleMania locations are set in stone, maybe. There is reports that New Orleans is the front runner for WrestleMania 42 next year. Now, using ChatGPT, I had the AI create these images that you will see in this video of what a WrestleMania logo would look like for those cities that I'm talking about here. And WrestleMania 42 potentially being in New Orleans, it makes sense when you think back to last year when the Super Bowl was in Las Vegas. The WWE had a kickoff show last year during the Super Bowl week, which set up that big, massive Night 1 main event with Cody and Seth versus The Rock and Roman. And then after that, like a month later, Las Vegas was announced as the host location for this year's WrestleMania. And then this year we didn't have a kickoff show, but the Super Bowl was in New Orleans this year. So if you follow that metric and that guideline of the Super Bowl and then WrestleMania the year after, it makes sense that New Orleans is the front runner for WrestleMania 2026. Now, I am wearing my WrestleMania 30 t-shirt because for this purpose of this video, for that reason, because of New Orleans being the front runner of WrestleMania 42, but also New Orleans hosted WrestleMania 34, was the most recent one they've had, and normally WWE does tend to go back to a city after about 3 to 5 years, depending on the city. So this makes sense. And then I thought about it more because I looked at the Super Bowl locations of that has been announced, and Super Bowl 60 is in Santa Clara, home of the 49ers, which could mean that WrestleMania 2027 could be back at Santa Clara, which was the host of WrestleMania 31. There's a rumor that Indianapolis is going to get WrestleMania in 2027. Now, obviously, too, Nashville, Tennessee Titans, they're building a new stadium. There was a rumor that 2027 was supposed to be the year for WrestleMania in that new Titans stadium. So, Indianapolis obviously has an agreement with the WWE to bring WrestleMania there, which WrestleMania has not been in Indianapolis since WrestleMania 8. And it's really crazy to think that Lucas Oil Stadium hasn't held a WrestleMania, considering how long it's been open, and that the Royal Rumble, like a couple weeks ago, was the first big major wrestling event there that the WWE had. So it's kind of crazy to think that Lucas Oil Stadium waited this long for a major wrestling show. But it does seem like they're going to be getting a show, getting WrestleMania in 2027. So if New Orleans is 2026, Indianapolis is 2027, and that's based off of rumors that are coming from Sports Illustrated, then what about 2028? Because the thing to me that is interesting is that the deal that the WWE has with Peacock, to where they have all their PLEs and everything, that deal comes up literally next year. I think March of 2026. So it's like a month or so before WrestleMania happens. So 2026 is going to be that first WrestleMania on Netflix. So could that be where WrestleMania goes to London? Now, I don't think it's going to be next year. Maybe London gets 2027, Indianapolis will get 2028, or London maybe will get WrestleMania in 2028. But, again, with that deal with Peacock being up in the next year or so, you have to think that WrestleMania going global, going international, is going to be a part of what the WWE wants to do going forward in these next 5, 10, 15 years. And obviously, Wembley Stadium would probably be one of the major locations. We do know Triple H and Nick Khan about a year ago was in London talking to the mayor about a potential WrestleMania. And again, if you consider that New Orleans is the front runner for next year, then maybe 2027 if it's not Indianapolis, maybe 2028 at the earliest for a WrestleMania in Wembley. But then you also factor in there's a lot of other stadiums, other countries that would probably pay a lot of money for a 2-night WrestleMania. I mean, you look at the WWE right now, they just announced a huge show in Paris at the end of August of this year. And you see how they are just selling out wherever they go. Obviously, countries are going to want to pay for it. Are we going to see one potentially in Montreal? Could we see Toronto get another one if they go back to the Rogers Center? The WWE has moved WrestleMania about 1 or 2 weeks back. Because obviously when the WWE was having WrestleMania at the beginning of April and in March, that really limited where they could go. And so I think now that WrestleMania, if it does stay in the mid-April calendar range, it's going to open up a lot more, especially in the northeast of the United States. When we're talking about potentially Gillette Stadium, home of the Patriots, you're talking, Philadelphia had it last year, maybe Pittsburgh. You look at other cold weather cities that usually are still kind of cold around end of March, early April. Those cities are now potentially being open to having WrestleMania. You go to a place like Chicago, which I know the Bears are building a new stadium. They'll probably get a WrestleMania when that stadium gets built. The Browns are working on a new stadium. The Bills are having a new stadium. So many NFL teams are building new stadiums going in the future that it could be a lot of these new stadiums hosting WrestleMania in the future. But I do think it's kind of interesting to talk about where WrestleMania is going to be, because I think it's always kind of fun to see, okay, what city is it going to be in, what country is it going to be in, because it just kind of adds interest to WrestleMania. And honestly, the funny thing is, WrestleMania being in New Orleans next year, look, I'll close the video on this. Go ahead, hit that like and subscribe button for more wrestling content, as I do produce weekly wrestling content here on this channel. I'll be live streaming the Elimination Chamber, and most importantly, if WrestleMania does go to New Orleans, could we see, let's see if I can, this guy right here. Until he is under contract to AEW, I'm leaving it open to a possibility. Saraya, aka Paige, set her contracts up in September. We all know WrestleMania 30, Daniel Bryan won the world titles in the main event. Paige had her main roster call up, and she beat AJ Lee for the title on her first night in New Orleans. So that would kind of be a fitting return for the both of them. I'm just saying. But comment below, where do you want to see WrestleMania go next? I've been your host, Money Mike, and you've been watching Ringside Cinema.
Ringside Cinema, living out the dream, living out the dream, living out the dream. Lights down, time to go. Cheers for heroes we know. Ringside for